Aloha, I'm Casey Halpern, your home chef, and today I'm going to be showing you a simple way to make a great Hamakua mushroom bisque. And I know the term bisque, it's kind of a scary term, but I'm going to really show you how easy it is. I don't know if you remember the mushroom poke we made the other day, but what we did is we saved that broth and we infused it with some vegetables and made a nice vegetable stock. So the ingredients that we're going to be using for this dish, I've got some onions in the pot. They're diced and I'm going to caramelize those. And then we're going to use some cooked potato to thicken the soup. I've got my veggie stock. I've got heavy cream. I've got a little thing of butter and flour, and those are equal parts, and that's going to be what we use to make what we call our roux. And the roux is also used with the potatoes to thicken the soup. And of course we got our Hamakua mushrooms. You can use any of the varieties that they have, or this is a mix of gray oyster and piopini. And then I got some minced garlic, and I've got some sherry wine, and of course we got a little olive oil to saute our onions in. So on the onions, you can pretty much cook them for as long as you want or as lightly as you want. You get a lot more flavor if you caramelize them. And I'm going to share a little secret on that. So you can just get them going in a little oil. And if you feel like they're starting to burn, I'm going to add a dash of white wine. And the wine is just going to do two things. One, the sugar in the wine is going to help the onions caramelize faster. And it's also going to get them to not be stuck to the bottom of the pan. Just going to give these a stir. Okay, so these have been going for a couple minutes now. And I'm going to just add a splash of white wine. And as I said earlier, you can take this as far as you want as far as color. The darker the color, the deeper and richer the flavor is going to be. But it does take some time, probably 10 to 15 minutes to get a nice caramelized onion. So as you can see, the mushrooms have started to brown, and these are going to be good for what we're doing. If you want to take them longer, you can. So at this point, I'm going to add our Hamakua mushrooms. And then these are going to cook down for another few minutes. And so it's really up to you as far as how long you cook things down. Usually you get more flavor the longer you cook things down. Okay, so we got these mushrooms where we want it to be. We're going to add a little bit of garlic. And then we're going to add our equal portions of flour and butter for the roux. I'm just going to put that all in there. And as that butter melts, we're going to stir in the flour. And we're going to turn the heat down a tad just so we don't, because it's going to tend to start burning now. As you can see, the flour just dissolves right into that butter. So now this is cooked out a bit, and this is where the sherry comes in. So the sherry is going to be used, and you're going to see as soon as I put this in, all that stuff that's on the bottom of the pot is going to come up into the soup. And so we're going to use our spoon. We're going to just lightly scrape that bottom of that pot up. Okay, now we can add our cooked potato. And this is our vegetable stock that we made with the leftover poaching liquid from the mushroom poke. And so now we're gonna bring this up and let it simmer for about a half an hour. Okay, so I've simmered the soup for about half an hour, and now I'm gonna blend it up. You can use a house blender, but it can be kind of dangerous with hot items, so you can just go down to Macy's or online and just order yourself a little, this is an immersion blender or a stick blender, and it's good because you can do it right in the pot. So I'm gonna just blend this up. Now at this point, if you feel like your soup is too thick, you're probably gonna have a little veggie stock left over, and you can just thin it out with that. And also just remember that you're gonna be straining it, so that's gonna also thin it out. Okay, so we've blended the soup, and now we're just gonna strain it. And then it's gonna have to go back into the pot and get finished with our heavy cream and seasoning. And for the seasoning, I'm just gonna use a little salt and pepper and then some local honey from Big Island Bees. I'm gonna grab a ladle, and that's gonna make it a lot easier to push that through. So we'll just use the back of the ladle and push it through. Okay, so we've strained the soup, and as you can see how smooth it is, and that's why we strain it. We just want to make the mouth feel a little better. You don't have to strain it if you don't feel comfortable doing that, but it definitely enhances your finished product. So now we're gonna finish the soup, and I always season at the end, because especially with the soup, you don't want to put your salt in there too early, and then you're going to end up with something, when it starts cooking down, it's going to get too salty. So for the seasoning, I just got some fresh cracked pepper, some sea salt, and I'm going to put a touch of Big Island Bees honey in there. And lastly, we got some heavy cream. And again, it's the same with the seasoning. We always want to finish with the cream, because it'll tend to start breaking down if you heat it for a long period of time. So this will be right at the end. It'll be nice and creamy. Just going to stir everything together. So of course we're going to taste everything, make sure that it's where we want it to be with the salt. It's good. I'm gonna add a touch more salt. I wanna really promote the honey, as I use it in a lot of my dishes to sweeten, because I like, that it's naturally occurring and it's local, and it also really smooths out the flavors on a lot of things. So for dressings or soups, I use it a lot. So our soup is done. You can take this further if you want to. Sometimes I'll put a little Dijon mustard in it, or chop some fresh herbs up and put it in at this point. Also can be topped with a little Parmesan cheese or something. But we're just going to do the simple way today, the way that anyone can do. And I know you can, because if I can do it, you can do it. I was only a dishwasher, you know. I never went to school for this, so it's possible. So we're just gonna ladle our soup into our bowl. And top it with some chopped parsley. So my suggestion would be that I like to make my soups the day ahead because I feel like they're always better the next day. So that's one way you can do it, or you can make it the same day. That's it. Mahalo for having me. I'm Casey Halpern, Cooking Hawaii Fresh.